Hello everyone and welcome to Filtered, the podcast. My name is Phil Dye. I haven't spoken to you for quite a while, 10 months, because it was 10 months ago I was diagnosed with tongue cancer, and I've been in treatment ever since, and now I've got my voice back. The Filtered podcast comes to you from near Wollongong in New South Wales in Australia, about 100 kilometres south of Sydney. Now this episode is on the new cervical cancer campaign, which has been funded by the federal government here in Australia. Now, it cost $7 million. $7 million was allocated to ACON. ACON stands for the AIDS Council of New South Wales, which started in New South Wales and it's now branched out to have national tentacles. And it looks after the health and well-being of LGBTQIA people. The federal government gave $7 million, and the campaign is directed at women and people with a cervix. Women and people with a cervix. Now, I was under the impression only women had a cervix, and I got that impression really for many, many years, but mainly through my work teaching biology at the University of New South Wales in the School of Medical Sciences, where teaching biological reality was pretty damn important. Well, I taught that only women have a cervix. But according to this new campaign, it's women and people with a cervix. Now, I'm also very interested in this because the main cause of cervical cancer is the human papilloma virus, HPV. And it was HPV that caused my tongue cancer. It's a virus, and it can replicate in certain parts of your body. And mine, unfortunately, was in the tongue. But for many women, it's in the cervix. So this campaign, funded by the federal government with $7 million allocated to ACON, aims to get women to have cervical screening so that it will prevent them getting fully blown cervical cancer. Now, the term women and people with a cervix is pretty much an insult to women because only women have a cervix. It's misleading and deceitful, and on talking to some lawyers, the opinion has been that it could be construed as disinformation. Disinformation is where information is put out there in order to persuade someone politically or socially where that information is not correct. Now, misinformation is when someone puts it out there and they've made a mistake. Sorry, wrong information. But the disinformation is on purpose. Now, this women and people with a cervix, where does it come from? Well, there are some people who believe that when a man wants to become a woman and they have sex change surgery, not just hormones and not just the puberty blockers and all that, but if they have surgery, then it's the full gamut. They've got the whole thing. Well, that is rubbish, absolute crap. What they do with a sex change is that if you're male, they'll remove the penis, and sometimes they will manufacture a fake vagina. They make it out of the colon, the bowel tissue, and sometimes out of the skin of the penis that has been removed. Do they make a cervix? No. Matter of fact, there has never been not one instance in the world where a fake cervix has been built inside a trans woman. This campaign gives the impression that trans women might have a cervix, which is wrong. Now, I want to make it clear, this is not hate speech at all. Stating a biological truth and reality is not hate speech. If it is hate speech, well, therefore every university in the country that teaches biology and science should be taken to the Human Rights Commission. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I don't expect you to believe everything I say about this. Let's hear first then from the Canadian Cancer Institute in one of their Q&As.
As a trans woman or non-binary person assigned male at birth, do I need to get screened for cervical cancer?
because you do not have a cervix, you are not at risk for cervical cancer and do not need cervical cancer screening.
And what about this from UK Cancer Research? A bit of a warning, it does go into some bodily functions here.
Trans women do not have a cervix, so don't need to consider cervical screening. Trans women who have had a vaginoplasty, which is a type of genital reconstructive surgery, the term neocervix, is sometimes used to describe the tissue at the deepest part of the vagina. This area is made of a different type of cells to the cervix in a cisgender woman. If you are a trans woman who has had a vaginoplasty using a loop of bowel, make sure your GP is aware of this if you experience symptoms such as vaginal discharge or bleeding.
I think she lost the respect of many by using the word cis there. And here's this from the UK government.
Trans women and non-binary people assigned male at birth, who are registered with a GP as female, are invited for breast screening and bowel cancer screening. They do not need cervical screening as they do not have a cervix.
So there you have it. Surprise, surprise. Trans women who believe they've got a cervix actually haven't. But, we're not silly. We know that the campaign is really targeting trans men, women who identify as a man. So a woman who identifies as a man, dresses up in men's clothing and thinks they're a man, but they still have a cervix. And that is true. And if they still have a cervix, they're still a woman. There is no denying that biological fact. So trans men who turn up for cervical screening are actually admitting openly that they are actually a woman. Trans women who say that they have had cervical screening are mistaken and deluded. Can ACON possibly check their biological facts before accepting the $7 million from the federal government in order to run an everybody with a cervix, people with a cervix, because only women have a cervix? Is it transphobic to say that only women have a cervix? Absolutely not. Now, Australia is not the only country in the world where there are cervical cancer screening campaigns aimed at women and people with a cervix. But politicians and health ministers from all over those countries where it's operating are getting asked very serious questions as to why this is phrased like this, because it is deceitful to think that men might have a cervix. Only women have a cervix. Here's an interview from the London Broadcasting Company, LBC, and have a listen to the woman trying to get out of this, trying to wiggle out of it and explain herself. It's really quite tragic.
I wonder if I can start. We've talked about many things down the years, Rachel Reeves, but I have to put it to you. Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick, and it's great to talk to you.
Good to you.
I just think that this issue has just become so divisive and toxic, and it pits people against each other, both groups who face discrimination in society, women and trans women. And I just find this debate incredibly unhelpful and unproductive, to be totally honest.
But is it transphobic, yes or no?
Look, is it transphobic? Look, I don't even know how to start answering these questions. I just don't find them.
The party leader suggests it is. So what do you as Shadow Chancellor say?
I think that people should be able to identify with the gender that they feel comfortable with.
Respectfully, Shadow Chancellor, that wasn't my question. My question is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Why is that?
Because if somebody, why are we having to discuss parts of women's anatomy? I don't feel comfortable talking about women's anatomies and different parts of women's bodies with you, Nick, or frankly with anybody else. But if somebody identifies as a woman and a man, or a man, they should be able to do so, whatever their body part.
And that was Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the United Kingdom. She looks after all the money. You'd think she'd know a bit better, wouldn't you? No one in Australia is asking that question. No media is really putting their hand up and say, this is absolutely ridiculous. Well, there's one, maybe Sky News is. I'm certainly going to label it. This is a ridiculous waste of taxpayers' money. And I would be demanding that the government and ACON change the campaign to make it only for women. Because even trans men who say, I'm going to have a cervical screen, are admitting they are really a woman. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, a couple of lawyers have said that this could fall under the area of disinformation because it has been purposely designed to deceive the public into believing a certain thing. I haven't got the money nor the years left in me to take this to litigation. But if there's an aspiring young legal firm out there who are trying to make a name for themselves by taking the Australian Federal Government to court and ACON to court and the Australian Human Rights Commission to court, perhaps this is for you. Just saying. My name's Phil Dye. You've been listening to Filtered, the podcast. This is episode 8. Unsure when the next one will be because I'm trying to give my throat a little bit of a rest at times. You can follow Filtered on Substack, on all the streaming services, and you can email me at phil@filtered.com.au. phil@filtered.com.au. Don't forget to sign the Declaration of Biological Truth Australia. Just look that up, just Google it, Declaration of Biological Truth Australia. And I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I'll talk to you again soon.